Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Total War Warhammer 2. And just look at Grimgore's happy face. He's so happy to see you. He's about to murder some gits. So, Warhammer 2 updated just recently. First of all, the Queen and the Crone DLC came out, which of course I have purchased. And I will kind of talk about in a little while. But also, along with that, there was a patch which changed a number of things. And one of the things that it changed was a key mechanic of the greenskins. Which, of course, as everyone knows, are... well, as everyone who bothers to watch my Total War Warhammer 2 videos, which to be fair, not many people do, the Greenskins are one of my two favorite factions. And one of the key factors of the Greenskins on the battlefield has always been the fact that they can buff themselves very, very heavily in melee and debuff their enemies and overall make a really hard-hitting infantry line, at least for a short period of time. Now, that wasn't very effective for a long time, but in this battle it really worked out because of the new way that those buffs work, specifically the WAAAGH. So the WAAAGH down here used to be an area of effect around the character, and it was like a plus 30-something melee attack. It's been changed. Now, it lasts 30 seconds, which is, if I recall correctly, a little bit longer. It affects everybody on the map. And it gives a speed buff, a charge bonus buff, and a pretty substantial melee attack buff. And it only recharges when the Lord who has the ability is engaged in melee. So you have to fight in melee for 90 seconds in order to recharge the WAAAGH and get it again, which means in a lot of battles you're only going to get it once. But it's been made much more effective. So looking at this battle, I'm in slow motion just so we can, actually I can probably go full speed. Just so we can see my army. My army is fairly standard. I've got one Doom Diver, I've got two Boar Boy Biggins, I have two Forest Goblin Spider Rider Archers with a big boss. My front line is two Black Orcs, two Savage Orc Biggins. I have one unit of Nasty Skulkers, and I've got a Night Goblin Shaman back here, and Grimgore. I keep trying to make Grimgore work, and sometimes it functions, and I think Grimgore has been significantly buffed by these changes. But so this Night Goblin Shaman, I've got the Wand of Jet to give him more power. I've got Night Shroud to let him make somebody stalk. I've got Itchy Nuisance and Sneaky Stabbin' and the Sneaky Stealin' ability. Those are the only spells. So, targeted buff, AoE enemy debuff, a very substantial one, and a utility spell, kind of a clever little utility spell. My last unit over here is Mogreb's Mangy Marauders, the armor-piercing Goblin Wolf Rider Archers. I'm fighting the Lizardmen, and the Lizardmen usually have been a terrible matchup for the Greenskins. The Greenskins have historically really struggled dealing with large armored targets, and of course the Lizardmen are all about large armored targets. So they've got the Croxagores, which are really good at stomping down infantry. They've brought a Skink Priest of the Heavens on a... I forget what these are called. It's not a Bastiladon. A Stegodon. Which, of course, has the big ballista and also is very powerful in melee and 120 armor. And then they've brought Croc-Gar on his Carnosaur. Deathlock, I think? Anyway, 95 armor, very fast, very hard-hitting, very dangerous. So I'm skirmishing with my troops up here. They've also got, over here, a unit of Horned Ones. And these Horned Ones have gotten themselves into a lot of trouble because Mogreb's Mangy Marauders are armor-piercing. And so that 100 armor does not help the Cold Ones at all, the Horned Ones. As such, they've taken quite a bit of damage. They have killed one of the Mangy Marauders, but they've already lost probably a fifth of their hit points, over 1,000 hit points. I'm sending some Boar Boy Biggins to help deal with them. I got this one artillery piece just basically to force people to close with me and fight the kind of melee battle that I want to fight. And my skirmishers here are harassing the Croxagores, shooting them, doing a little bit of damage, and also poisoning them so they are slow. So, the infantry lines are coming together, or rather, their infantry lines are coming towards me. Mine haven't started to move yet, because I've been busy sending off other troops. We're going to hit these Horned Ones with the Boar Boy Biggins and keep shooting them with the Mangy Marauders, which will basically ruin them for good and all. Up here, the skirmishers taking a little bit of damage from missile fire. They're drawing out. They're just kind of harassing, to be honest. Not achieving a huge amount of value, but they're keeping the enemy under pressure. Over on this side, the units have collided. The Horned Ones tried to dodge me, but realized they couldn't effectively get away while still engaging. And now they're getting ripped to shreds. They are dealing a whole lot of damage back, but with the missile support, they're not going to win this engagement. And my infantry line is now advancing towards the Greenskins, while Croc-Gar pulls back to support his troops. My Goblin Big Boss, unfortunately, is kind of sitting out in the middle because I'm not paying attention to him, because I am a bad Total War Warhammer player. But watch this, okay? Watch this happen. Alright, so that's the WAAAGH. The WAAAGH pops right here just as we're about to go in. I'm also dropping Itchy Nuisance over here to debuff these troops. So when the WAAAGH hits, my Savage Orc Biggins for 30 seconds have a melee attack of 74 and a charge bonus of 43. That means that, just take a look at this skink cohort, okay, as they charge in. I'm going to put it on slow motion. So here comes the charge, and the skink cohort loses models instantly. On impact, it loses 20 models or more than that. It's still counting. This skink cohort is ruined on contact. Now, this is a cheap infantry unit. Understandable, but look. The WAAAGH is still going on, the charge bonus is still active. This skink cohort is gone. They're already almost under half health. This skink cohort faring a little better against the Black Orcs, but honestly, not by much. Now, the Black Orcs here have largely mopped up this skink cohort as well. They're doing, like I said, they're doing less damage because they're less specialized against lightly armored infantry. But the fact that the WAAAGH affects everybody on the battlefield means that, whereas before, this would happen right where the boss was. The boss would be in a section, and that section would collapse the battle line in front of it. Well, with the WAAAGH now being AoE, being battlefield-wide, it hits everything. The whole battle line comes apart, and it's affecting these Boar Boy Biggins, so when they charge in, they have a really high melee attack, which they normally don't, so they're actually crushing this skink cohort, which normally they can't do. Over here, already routed. The skink cohorts are already dead in less than 30 seconds from contact. I think it's been 15 or 20 seconds real time. The Kroxigors are getting the crap kicked out of them. This normally does not happen. Kroxigors are really good at beating even especially heavily armored infantry in melee, but this time, these Black Orcs, they laid out a whooping in the time that WAAAGH was active. Over here, my Night Goblin Shaman is getting shot and will be driven off the field, but in the middle, these Kroxigors are practically dead. They've been smoke bombed, so they can't run. These Kroxigors are already routing. The whole Lizardman front line disintegrated because of the WAAAGH. My Savage Orc Biggins have gotten back here onto the Skink Priest, where they'll do okay. Over on this side, my Cavalry has collapsed the flank. My Orc Boar Boy Biggins did get terrified and routed by Kroq-Gar, and my infantry are now pursuing in all directions to try and keep people routing. A nice hit by the Skink Priest of Heavens there, trying to take some of the pressure off himself, but at this point, the Lizardman army is destroyed. I mean, it's gone. Parts of it will rally and come back at different times. They've got this Skink Chief, and they've got their monsters, but so this is the difference between Greenskin Games pre-patch and post-patch. Before, this would happen, this situation where you have the few monsters isolated amongst swarms of Greenskin infantry. But it would only happen after the Greenskin army was mostly destroyed. And they didn't have enough left to deal with the monsters. Well, this time, we crumpled the front line so quickly and so violently that there's actually plenty of troops left. I mean, there's enough troops left to actually deal with the monsters. There's enough troops left. I still have my archers active, shooting into the Skink Priest of Heavens, doing damage to it. I have 4 or 5 units piled up on Kroq-Gar. These Kroxigors are charging in, but they're taking a bunch of damage because they're charging into armor-piercing infantry, so they're not going to be able to save the day. My Black Orcs are still functional. Grimgor is still above half health. I'm shelling my own troops a little bit there, unfortunately. But yeah, Grimgor, because of the WAAAGH, because he charged in alongside these units, and all the units they were engaging got massacred so quickly, is actually doing really well in melee. And on top of that, Grimgor did get a buff of his own. He got buffed with, like, plus 600 mass and a little bit of melee defense, so he's now tougher, and also he doesn't get bounced around as much by basic monster attack animations, which means he can actually fight monsters in combat. So look at this, Kroq-Gar is losing. Now, Kroq-Gar against Grimgor just straight up one-on-one, I don't know. But in this situation, at least, Kroq-Gar is losing, and since Grimgor's been fighting, he now gets to pop the WAAAGH again, giving everybody that speed, melee attack, and charge bonus again. And, yeah. it makes even Mogreb's Mangy Marauders a relatively efficient melee unit for the time that it's active. So as a result, yeah, I've lost units, but I destroyed the enemy front line extremely quickly. The standard anti-greenskin lizardman strategy of having cheap infantry backed up by tough monsters that greenskins can't catch and engage effectively didn't work. It just didn't work. Because greenskins now have the tools to play in the way that greenskins want to play, which is this aggressive, infantry-centric, harassment on the flanks, big, beefy, tough infantry in the center style. And so I win this battle largely based off the strength of that, based off the strength of the WAAAGH. So I don't know. This isn't me showcasing any kind of like great tactical acumen of mine. This is just me talking about... I thought it was very, very interesting that the orcs received this change, the greenskins received this change, which was, in my opinion, definitely a buff. It made them better at doing the things that greenskins want to do. So, yeah, and looking at the battle, wow, not a one of these units got less than about 80 kills. It was impressive. So the frontline infantry of the greenskins is once again as scary as it really should be. Now, obviously, this has to be tested against other elite units. I've done some isolated testing, and to be honest, I've been quite impressed. Greenskin units still can't take other factions' really top-tier elites one-on-one, but they're not supposed to. They're cheaper, and they're, you know, you will outnumber Swordmasters of Hoeth. You will outnumber Blackguard of Nagarond, and those units can be taken down by greenskins with effective buff magic working in concert. So, in any case, I just thought this was very interesting, and I'm very glad to see my favorite faction, you know, getting pushed back up to where it can be competitive, which for a while I felt like they really weren't. Greenskins just really didn't have the punching power they needed to make their strategies work, and now they do. At least they might. I'll be continuing to play more battles and seeing how it goes, but overall, I'm really happy with how this functioned. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.